Hey everybody, this is Dr. Maples. Welcome back to the channel. Over the years, I've had more than a few students come to me with felony convictions or recent felony charges saying, Dr. Maples, what do I do? How is this felony going to change my college experience? Now, I'm not an attorney, and I can't help you with any of the legal situations that you might have found yourself in. But what I can do is talk about how felonies will shape your college experience, because they will. In fact, there's some important things that you need to know about regarding student loans, what majors you can take, and even if your university will still let you keep taking classes after you get felony charges. That's what we're going to talk about today. We got a lot to do today, so what do you say we get started? Two things before we begin. I'm going to say it again. I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. Also, we're going to talk about the idea of a felony as we understand it in the United States, where we have a very specific definition to the idea. Now, I'm not a criminologist. I was surprised when doing the research for this video to find out that felony is not a measurement of how severe your crime is. I was building on all this sociological literature that talks about the stigma of being a convicted felon, the master status of being a felon, and how that shapes your opportunities. But that's not the issue. When we define a felony, it's actually a measurement of how long you could serve because you were convicted of this crime. And it means specifically that you'll serve more than a year. Misdemeanor would be less than that, or even just a ticketable situation. Now, with felonies, one might immediately say, well, if you're behind bars, you can't take classes. And yeah, that could be a situation. But there's a couple of other areas that we need to think about that are very specific to your college experience. And honestly, if you're dealing with this right now, this is a conversation that we need to have. So let's do that. So I want to start by dispelling some common misbeliefs about how felonies can shape student loans. And this was actually me educating myself when I started doing the research for this video. I had this aired belief that basically if someone got a felony, they couldn't get student loans. And that's actually not the truth. Now, while you're incarcerated, while you are behind bars, you don't have access to federal student loans in the United States. It's just a hard rule. It says it right there on their website. But once you're released, you actually have unfettered access to student loans. It's not a problem. That includes a past situation where if you were arrested for selling certain substances which are illegal and you got a felony charge, you would lose access to student loans in the past. In 2023, that rule was actually removed. So now, once you've served your time, your charges are behind you, you have your status as a felon, but you are in a situation that you're able to get student loans. That's good. You're able to move forward with your life. You've paid your time, you've done what you needed to do for your crimes, and now you're moving on to rebuild your life. But hold on. There's actually some other issues at the college level that we're going to have to work out. Let's start with folks who are active college students who are taking classes and get arrested for a felony. I've got some bad news right off the bat. First off, your college, because of that felony charge, may choose to expel you. If you look in the student conduct policies for your campus, you'll probably find some language like the text that I'm going to put up here. And that language says that you have a certain amount of time to let your university know if you're arrested off campus. It doesn't matter what the charges are. If you're arrested, you have to let them know within a set period of time. This includes cases, too, where you might be arrested on the site, but then allowed to report to a court date in a near time in the future. This is where you may want to get legal counsel involved right away to help you negotiate this very muddy water. Now, if you're in an on-campus situation, note that your university will immediately know that you've been arrested. And I've even seen cases where if you're arrested, say, near campus, the police department might actually report that information to the university as well in the process of trying to identify who you are. I don't know that that's right or wrong, but it's cases where I've seen it happen in some of my students in the past. We had a town and gown situation where the town was located very near to the campus, and so the two police departments sometimes spoke to each other. No judgment. In this situation, however, when your university finds out, they will go through the process of having a hearing, which you may or may not have access to because you might be behind bars, but they're going to go through a process of deciding it. I have seen situations where it can be as something as small as a slap on the wrist to immediate expulsion. And one thing that I've also heard from other campuses, not my experiences, but from other faculty, is that if the media picks up this situation, it tends to make the situation more severe, and that the university will probably try to sever its ties with you to show that they're not part of your situation. So just be aware of this. If you're a college student, you get arrested, you technically are supposed to report that, and the university may have policies that lead them to go ahead and expel you from campus. Now, you can get back into the university potentially once you've cleared up your legal situation and or served your time, but even in the reapplication process, or if you're a felon who's going to college for the first time since you left prison, that whole process has some other issues that we got to talk about. Now, for people who already have a felony conviction and are coming to college, I actually have some good news. I had several students over the years who were accepted into the university and were very straightforward and upfront with their felony convictions. It was just a part of their life, it was a part of their past, but it was not indicative of who they were now. They were trying to move forward with their lives. When you apply for colleges, university, and a whole slew of other things, if you're a felon, you have to report it. There's a little question there that will say, have you been convicted of a felony? A bunch of other words, but it'll basically say that you have to report that. And I'll be straightforward. If you don't report it and they find out after the fact, you're probably going to get expelled. It's going to cause you problems. If you do have a felony on the books, however, this is where your application materials give you a chance to explain that. This is what happened. It's like a personal statement. This is what happened. This is why this is in my past. I've done my time. I have learned from this, and I'm moving forward. And going to college is a big part of that. Now, I don't know this as a fact, but it's something that I've heard from other faculty, is that if you are coming to college for the first time or returning to college post-felony conviction, going to a community college first can actually be helpful. Their acceptance rate is going to be much, much higher, and the stigma of that felony is probably going to be less of an issue, but a community college may be a good way for you to get that process started, and then you can transfer yourself to a 4-year university college program. But this is something that you can explain. You should not try to hide it. On top of that, too, be straightforward with it. Talk about it in your materials, but don't try to hide it. Let's look at one more area of concern. Now, regardless of if you are a current college student or a returning college student or even a new college student, if you have that felony status attached to your background, you are going to find some doors at the college campus closed in terms of majors and more specifically professions. And the issue really isn't the major itself. A lot of majors don't have rules about who can and can't take it. Accredited programs, social work is a good example of that, may have a specific policy that prevents you as a felon from taking those classes or specifically getting into their major. But more likely the problem is that you'll never get licensed in the field. For example, if you have a felony conviction, your doors are closed for lots and lots of careers in things like social work, psychology, medicine, law, and surprisingly, even some blue-collar fields like plumbing and electrician work. You're in a situation that, I guess, because of the level of interaction you have with other people and sort of the perceived risk of a felon doing that work, those professions are just closed to you. It's not the end of the world. There's plenty of jobs out there for people with felonies and even college degrees. And on top of that, I'm sure there's lots and lots of YouTube videos covering that. I can in the future if you want me to. You just let me know. But in this situation, that's the real problem. It's not necessarily that the majors won't accept you, but you're never going to get work in those fields. As such, I hate to say this, but if you have a felony, you need to talk to your advisor and be straightforward with them. Say, like, look, I've got this felony charge. This is my past. This isn't who I am today. But you need advice on what professions are available to you. And if that major can't get you a job, you need to change majors. Because let's be honest, you want to get a job after college. You want to make sure that you've got what you need. Unless you're in college for just learning, which is awesome. And frankly, that's why universities used to exist. But that's another video for another day. At the end of the day, is a felony the absolute end of your college experience? No, it's not. There are numerous students every semester with felonies. You may be in the classes with one of them today, who are there to try to start their lives over, rebuild, find a new path, and move on. And that's what we want to see happen with criminal convictions. We want people to be able to start their lives over and move on in a good direction. You have to understand that if you have a felony conviction, you have to serve your time. You have to get that situation out of the way. And then understand, too, that some fields are just not going to be available to you as a profession and therefore as a major. However, the resources to go to college with a felony are going to be there. The student loans are going to be there. You may have trouble with private loans, but the federal loans are not going to limit you from being able to go to college. In short, you have what you need to go to a community college, four-year college, universities, you name it. And it's something that as you write up your application materials and you talk about your personal statement about why you're coming to college, honestly, I think you've got something great to talk about. This was my past. This is me today. This is me in the future. So, is it the end? No, it's not. In fact, it's a great opportunity for you to start your life over and move on. Now, if there's a video that I can do to help you as you move on, you let me know in the comments. I love making these videos, and it's honestly just what I do for fun. So, if there's anything I can help you with, you let me know in the comments. Likewise, I'm happy to answer questions as best I can, but not legal advice on this particular video. That's all for today, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.